listening to the Contraritics Podcast, pushing back against the insanity of this world with arguments that may or may not work. And here's your hosts, Josh the Gun Nerd and Ian the Beer Nut.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever it is where you're at.
Right.
Listening at the time. We're doing a little earlier podcast than normal. So.
We're here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It won't stop us from drinking a beer.
Nope. Nope. The lady at the grocery store, because we're doing a lineup today, and it's not a heavy hitter lineup in terms of ABV. It is it's a Pilsner lineup. So lighter body but crisp. Anyway, the lady was like, "Oh, going camping today?"
No, maybe if I was going camping, it'd be more than this. This is just for an hour-long podcast.
Actually, I'm going to pound these right now. Not quite. We're splitting a can. Relax, guys.
Yeah, I know. There's a few people that have looked at the array that we have on the shelf up above, and they're like, "Whoa, you drink all those?" I was like, "Yeah, but this is over the past 6+ months, and it's us sharing each can." So it's not like we get a sixer and we're like, "Hey, let's taste test this. You take 3, I'll take 3."
Right. And now let's hit record.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah.
This is probably the lowest ABV.
Yeah, I think so.
That we've done.
Yeah, because we, through the winter we do a lot of stouts and, just all the time we do a lot of stouts and things, barrel aged stuff. But yeah, 4.9. I want to say this one's. Pilsners hang out around that.
Yeah.
Mid 4 to low 5 range. Let's see, this one's 5.3. And I think this one's just right in that same range, 4.9.
4.9, yeah.
So, anyway, we're coming up on summer. I think this Pfriem Pilsner is the go-to. I think it's the gold standard for at least readily available Pilsners that I've tried. I think if you're a guy that maybe typically goes for... even like I think Pilsner's just one step over from like a lager, where it's like, it's just more crisp, and it's got a little bit more. It's got maybe a little bite to it, but it's not like, I wouldn't call it bitter.
Yeah.
It's got a little more hop bite to it, but it's still in that same category.
Yeah. It adds some terrain to the to what's in front of you.
It's less sweet, more crisp.
Yeah.
Almost like a dry champagne versus white wine,
Yeah.
And obviously there's lots of variation within that spectrum, but I think Pilsner is a great option for a sunny day.
Yeah.
And it's not quite like the, when we had Sean on and he talked about the Blue Mountains, I do think a Pilsner's better cold, but these are not like spit them out of your mouth if they're not ice cold.
Yeah. As icy as can be, but also they don't go nasty when you got a couple of them sitting on the beach and they don't get to them fast enough.
Right.
So what should we crack first?
I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to go left or right.
All right.
I don't know.
It's the unknown. Yeah,
this one's the unknown, one that I hadn't had before, but from local bottle shop. So this is the most...
Ooh, it smells good.
This is going to be the least known, hardest to find, but it sounded interesting. It's made from blue corn. So what do they call it? Denim Pilsner or something?
Denim Tux.
Okay.
The Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, so really clear body.
Appley smelling. That's one thing with the pills. It always kind of smells a little appley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really pleasant.
It is. It's.
I'm trying to think of like how do you do a Pilsner bad? Yeah. And I feel like when it creeps into that lager category where it's like it doesn't have that sharp definition and is more on the sweet side.
Yeah. That has a kind of a little bit of a lemon as you get closer to the pith, which isn't a bad thing. but you can get too much of it. I'm not getting too much of it there, but it's one of those things that when I get it, I'm like, all right, is this gonna stay okay?
Yeah. Yeah. So American Pilsner with blue corn, Bow and Arrow Brewing, out of, let's see, Albuquerque, New Mexico. So there you go. That's why we haven't heard of it.
It's been a while since I've been down there, probably 47, 48 years.
I don't think I've ever been through it. Pretty cool can, though. It looks like a pair of jeans, the way the print is. But, yeah, like, I would recommend it. But it's probably not something that you're going to find outside of a bottle shop.
Yeah.
At least around these parts. Now, maybe down next time you're in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it might be a big down there.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you can look at the label and know what it is. So
exactly.
It has information on it.
Information, yeah. You don't gotta go searching all around. I didn't spin the can 5 times before knowing what it is or who brewed it.
Yep. Which is good.
Yeah. So what's going on in the gun world, Josh?
Good things, maybe. You know, I'm definitely a skeptic and don't have a whole lot of hope that things will change. There's a lot of things I have hope for, but the firearms landscape, not so much.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit more reason than has ever been in the last, 85, 90 years, and that is the HPA, which is the Hearing Protection Act, which I love. I like to protect my hearing. Yeah. There is the Shush Act as well. Uh-huh. So, and it's all about. My voice is.
Yeah, you can hardly handle it.
It's I'm so excited. Yeah, we've been trying for a long time. The gun community's been trying for a long time to stick a bill somewhere that will actually open up or wreck the regulations on having a suppressor. So, 1933, you could go and buy a suppressor for $6 to $8 anywhere.
Yeah.
And 1934 came along, and that there was a tax of $200 on that. So you think about that in today's dollars.
And at that time, we're talking, what was that during Prohibition?
Yes.
I think so.
Yep.
Okay. So you got all kinds of, I guess it wouldn't be gang, it would be mob activity or whatever, like underground, movement of alcohol, and all kinds of paying off cops and, lots of corruption. I mean, it's amazing when the government steps in and starts to do something it's not called to do.
Yeah.
It creates all kinds of
problems.
Yeah. Do you think the thought was, hey, keep these things? I mean, obviously, it's always the wrong solution for the problem. Trying to limit access by law or from law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
But do you think the thought was to limit the production or limit the access to these things because what? People are getting killed in the night, too quietly.
That's the thing is suppressors aren't as quiet as the movies portray them to be in general. You can get them that quiet, but it's intentional. You have to be kind of a gun nerd to build a gun that's quiet enough for that. So I haven't shot actually in months, and I think you saw I got my little 45-degree optic. Wanted to go try that out. Threw the can on and didn't throw any ear pro on. I was just going to shoot a 20-round mag, which is a sub-capacity magazine for an AR-15.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, I forgot how loud that is. It's pretty loud.
Yeah. I felt like an idiot because I had 2 mags, and when you're shooting suppress, you get a lot of that just build up or whatever, and it actually comes back into the mag well and kind of puts that coating on the rounds. And so
it makes it look like you've stored the rounds outside in the rain,
right,
in the dark for a decade.
But what that does, like my subsonic rounds for the 300 Blackout are brass casings.
Oh yeah.
The just supersonics are, which are cheaper, are steel casings, and so they're pretty easy to tell apart.
Yeah.
But with all that
like
coating, so I grabbed and Job and I was like, yeah, let's just go plink a few, and I felt so dumb because we had Ear Pro on, and I was like, man, that really felt like it has that you know, like that it's just got a different sound to it, and it didn't strike me until I go back inside, and I was like, oh, I just shot like 20 rounds of.
Oh, ouch! Shot the expensive ones.
Yeah. And I didn't even have my Ear Pro off to enjoy it. You know?
Totally. Oh, it's even worse.
Right. So, but yeah, that's painful. But so the whole idea of like why these things are being limited in the first place. It's like, I don't know. It's like if we made mufflers hard to access, for your car.
We like all vehicles to drive around loud.
Just think, they could sneak up on you.
Yeah,
and plow
exactly.
You down.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Like in this day and age when,
they are actually. I mean, now they require.
Yeah.
The Priuses and stuff have this like this sound.
Yep.
Have you seen the
louder?
Have you seen the videos where they're like, the moment you step out of your car and you think you're about to meet Jesus because they're like this, but it's just a Prius about to take out your knees.
That is hilarious.
But yeah, I mean, like, and this is a classic. I mean, I'm all for incrementalism. Like, if we can move the needle at all, let's move it. But also, okay.
To hell
Trump,
with the NFA.
Exactly. Yeah. And Trump went in with big talk, and I do think he's doing big things. Like, he's not just talking, but also when we hear from who's the Bongino and who's the other guy, Epstein definitely killed himself. I'm like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Like,
nobody believes that.
Everybody's calling BS on that. Like that I've seen. All the honest people are like, I like this guy, but this is not.
Yeah. Yeah, who was it? It was Bongino and
who's
somebody else. The
guy. He always looks like his eyes are too close together.
Is it Hegseth? Or is it somebody else?
No, it's the like Indian dude, or I don't know.
Yeah, Cash Patel.
Yeah, Patel. Yeah.
I know. He's to me, he's looking more and more like a flash in the pan. I hope he's not, but
I hope he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, he.
I literally knew nothing about him until he was on, I think, Rogan on Sean Ryan. And
well, yeah, because he was supposed to get into he was supposed to have some seat at the table in Trump's first administration, but somebody knew that he was like kind of either a rebel or like really had strong views on something, and so they edged him out.
Yeah.
And this time he had the backing of a lot of other people that. Yeah. Anyway, I hadn't heard of him, but I didn't realize that he had that history before.
Yeah. But yeah, so right now the way the HPA, the Hearing Protection Act, stands is I think as of yesterday morning, passed through the House, has to go on to the Senate, and then Trump said he'll sign whatever. And this is part of the big, beautiful back better building, whatever, alliteration of a bill that we have coming out. So it does make me wonder, like, as soon as it is signed, what we're going to find out was passed that we're really going to be pissed about too. Like, if we got something as good as getting suppressors off of the NFA, then what did we give up in the meantime? Right. And for those that are, NFA, National Firearms Act, that's the one in 1934 that added the $200 tax stamp. Basically what that means is if it goes off the NFA, it's going to be treated like a grip like the suppressor will be treated like a grip or a hand guard or an optic. You can just go and buy it wherever fine firearms accessories are sold.
Right.
If it happens that it goes off, if it passes through the Senate and Trump signs it, then you'll be able to go buy those Cabela's off the shelf, which will immediately make all suppressors very hard to get for probably about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then we'll get manufacturers spooling up, and then we're going to get crappy ones. But ideally, like, I would like to see $100 or $200 suppressors that are of moderate quality, just because then we'll be able to buy them. Like, you're not right now. You go and buy a suppressor.
I would love to get a 22 suppressor,
Man,
but it's
so
like,
much so.
okay, that's actually a reasonable price. Oh, but then I have to pay $200.
Yeah,
you're
so
like,
you buy a $200 22 suppressor that's really good.
Yeah.
But then you have to pay a $200 tax on that.
Right.
And so it totally is a thing. Like,
do you think those manufacturers will try to compensate and increase prices because they're like, well, you've never had, now you don't have to pay for that? And
I don't think so.
I mean,
think
that would be a weird move, but
I mean, there will be some retarded ones that'll do that.
Yeah.
They'll be like the Springfield Armory of suppressors or something like that. I don't even have a context for what Springfield's done, and that would be close to that. But Springfield Armory just does stupid things.
Yeah, you just want to take a shot.
Yeah, I just want to take a shot at them. I mean, they are one of those ones that have helped to promote legislation that will make it difficult for other firearms companies to work in the states that they're in.
Huh.
So I do have that bitterness that I hold against them.
Anti-competition type stuff.
Totally.
Huh.
And there's word that there's some suppressor companies or companies that sell suppressors that have been in on that because they make a marginal amount of money off of, like, literally $5 for every $200 tax stamp that they process, which that's super short-sighted if they're doing that. But really, like, what I love about it, like, so last night when I was shooting, I didn't annoy my neighbors because I was shooting with a suppressor.
That you know of.
That I know of. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they do tell me if it gets to be too much, if my brother-in-law decides to hang out for half a day instead of, an hour and shoots his gun all day long unsuppressed, then...
I mean, or anytime Taylor's shooting that thing with the brake. Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It hurts. It hurts. It literally hurts your teeth. And
it's like pounding a hammer. And you, like, when you hit it wrong on the handle, and it just reverberates through your...
It's like hitting a mailbox hanging outside the window with an aluminum bat.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
This wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
So I've been told.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so anyway, I was just messing with the audio stuff, always tinkering. But we should check out our next pills.
Yeah. Going to the blue can.
Sure.
Because you're saying the top one is the Pfriem.
Well, yeah, that's the one that I know.
Okay.
Yeah, Pfriem is the one that I know. Down in Hood River. That's the one that I was talking about with John. Yeah, we just got to taste some amazing whiskey the other day.
Man.
What was it, Clear Creek? Or?
Oh, man, it was Mc something. I'll take a look.
Well, yeah, the name of it was McSomething, but the actual distillery was like Clear Creek or something down in Hood River. But it's imported peated malt. Yeah. From Scotland. Man. Pretty amazing.
Oh my goodness, it was so good. I'm trying to look it up here. There it was.
Yeah, so this one that we're doing now, the STS Pills. So Russian River Brewing Company, they're most famous for young Pliny the Younger and Pliny the Elder. So their Pliny lineup is their big hopped series. That's what they're most known for. But a couple weeks ago we did the cherry beer, cherry sour, which is pretty great.
Are they also the ones that do the Old Rasputin?
No, I think
it's something River.
I think that's North Coast.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, it is. Yep.
They do have a stout, but
I for some reason I always get those ones confused.
yeah, they're both down there.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Ooh, I like how this one smells even better.
But yeah, they're the, 5 rates. I equate with doing everything excellently, and that's the same category that I put
Russian River in. Yeah.
Russian River in.
Yeah, I like this one better than the Denim.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. What would you say? It's more. It's really bright.
It's bright. It does have a nice hop note to it.
It's the front end that's most noticeable. Like,
and that's kind of how Pilsners seem to be.
Yeah.
I mean the Denim Tux has that lemon rind on the back end. It's not terrible. It just is something that gets annoying to me.
Right.
Over the course of a can, and if it's a tall boy or whatever the pints are, then it gets annoying fast.
Yeah.
But this is really nice.
Yeah, this would go great with like spicy food.
Oh yeah.
Or tacos, or
like just simply like a really good pepperoni pizza.
Yeah,
that would be. Yeah. I tend to be somebody. I actually don't usually like beer with pizza. Uh-huh. It's just two heavy things. That's really nice. That would be really good with.
Yeah, like trying to drink like a stout with pizza.
Man, I can drink a stout on a 80-degree day, but I can't drink a stout with pizza.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I like actually stouts generally I don't like to have with. I could probably have with dessert. The right kind of dessert, I could do that. It was something interesting, so I pulled out. I like keeping the Icicle Creek German chocolate one that we talk about all the time. Yeah. This last time that I had it, it seemed like it was much thinner than I ever remembered. And I don't know if because they're producing more. It used to be harder to find. Now you can
it's
just
everywhere.
grab it.
They are really pushing their distribution.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting move because out of such a hard to reach place, I guess that's one way to try to make a buck. But from the people like RJ and those guys, it sounds like the margins are so tight on distribution that it is really hard to make money that way. Like you really got to have brand awareness and got to get some traction that way in order to make have good sales to make that work.
And it would make sense then why that just seemed like it's always been one where you feel like you were biting into a German chocolate cake. And the last time I had it, I was like, it's like they added water.
Probably watered down.
It tasted good, but I would have liked to distill it down into a thicker beverage. So
sure, yeah,
it's not worth it.
Yeah, well, I just got to go across the state.
Oh yeah.
I say got to. I didn't have to. I didn't have to. It was, Kim and I signed up to be the coaches for the golf team this year. And one of our guys made it to state, which is awesome. We were excited for him. We booked out.
And what's cool is like, because I had to ask when we were talking about it before, but like I thought maybe he was doing it as a hobby beforehand, but it sounds like he picked it up to be involved.
Couple months ago, he just like, okay, I can try it.
That's just fantastic.
And he's just a natural athlete, and so was able to pick it up. And if you're a natural athlete in the B League of schools, you can probably go pretty far. And it was awesome. But then at state, you're competing against guys who have been doing it all their life. Yeah. Some of them. Some of them are just like you and just picked it up.
Yep.
So that was, a little more challenging than just our regional competition, but it was good for him. So we packed up and went across. Let's see, it was Monday, like mid-morning. Drove, the 5-hour drive over to Spokane, and then we did a practice round that evening, and then the next morning he teed off and unfortunately didn't make the cut. He played all 18 holes, did well the first 9, little struggle on the back 9, which put him out of contention because they only took the half of that field. So there were 40. They took 20 to the next day. Didn't make it to the next day, but we decided, well, we came, we conquered, we came, we competed, and now let's go home. So we drove the 5 hours back, and it did afford some good time with just some young men in the car. When they weren't napping, we were talking about stuff, and what I was trying to lean in on was, how's your relationship with your parents?
Yeah.
Like, are you respecting your father? Are you honor your father or mother? That is the charge to children.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to think that, okay, once I get out of this situation, once I'm free, then I can do whatever I want, and this conflict isn't going to be here anymore. But, I think you and I can both attest to, we had completely different childhoods and different situations and stuff, but,
we both had your dad's influence.
Yeah, totally. And you don't, grandmas are still honored on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
You don't ever stop being a father. You don't ever stop being a son. You don't ever stop being a brother. Of course, people die and pass away and things, but that relationship is still there. And so what you choose to do with it is up to you.
Yeah.
And you can't change the other person. You can't make them be more understanding. You can't make them love your choices or whatever. Yeah. But especially while you're in their house, you can make whatever you're wanting to do look a little more winsome. Yeah. Even if you feel like they never see it. They never see that, I don't know, whatever your interest is. Maybe it's golf, something like that they just don't see as valuable, but you really have a passion for. Yeah. Now, there's a way to try to stick it to them, and guess what? You never win down that path. The path of bitterness, the path of just trying to always stick it to them. You're actually just creating more misery for yourself. Yeah. It's like telling lies that only hurt yourself. It's that type of thing that it's like, why are you doing this? Yeah. Why do you hate yourself?
There's oddly enough, and I'm going to be kind of sarcastic here because I
watch out, sarcasm inbound.
That's right, but you only hurt. You hurt the whole relationship, but you're really hurting yourself by creating a pattern of wanting to stick it to your parents or stick it to whoever's in control. And I when I was 17, that was. When I was 16, I was super bitter for no reason. I had good parents, that weren't perfect. And so I was wanting to stick it to them. And when I finally started respecting the position and giving obedience, even though it wasn't what I wanted, it changed everything for me. Because so our youth pastor at the time was Arnie Ewan, and he talked about, he was on a series about respecting your parents and honoring your parents and, obedience. And I was like, up until that point, I'd always thought, well, respect has to be earned. And obedience, is only given once you respect somebody. And then once I realized that you had to do things biblically as a Christian, then that changed everything. And it didn't mean that, my parents changed in particular. It actually made things worse on one side of my family. But man, sleeping at night sure was better. Yeah. Going to sleep I spent the next 10 years plus doing things very imperfectly and before I started improving to doing them less imperfectly. Yeah. I haven't arrived, but man, just having the attitude change of not wanting to be the one that was dragging down the family as much as it depended on me. So as a son, I've got a mom and a dad, and unfortunately in my family, they were not on board with each other. And so it was, three of us working different ways. It was like a three-way tug of war. Yeah. In a relatively healthy household, you're going to have parents pull in the same direction. And so when you get on board with just obedience to them, and showing respect, learning how to say, hey, this is an interest of mine, or this is something I want to do, whatever it is, whether it's work or, a hobby or whatever, or just like, hey, working on being a better, son and doing it maybe differently than how they would see it.
Yeah.
It changed everything. It really did. And it took years to see that difference, but,
yeah, and that's the thing, not expecting instant results, like
working on yourself and not caring what the other person is doing.
Because guess what can you control? Like
barely yourself. Barely.
Right, but what are you responsible for? Yourself. Like you're responsible for how you react, respond. You cannot control how they respond. Yeah. I was encouraging one of the young men, I was just like, hey, listen, I hear your frustration.
Yeah.
And I raise you, I raise you one, but the high calling that God has for us is honor your father and mother. And so it's actually really going to suck. Like, you're going to feel like he's getting one over on you. You're going to feel like your submission is somehow, paying, like submitting to the man, which it is, and that's what your soul needs.
There's so much reward to it. Like, right. You can't, I can't put into words the reward that there was for having obedience and showing respect when I didn't actually feel it. So it is kind of a part of faking it till you make it. Mm-hmm. But I did not respect my dad at all when I decided to start showing respect. And then the first initial show of respect, I remember it distinctly, and trying to grow up instead of just be the person dragging everything down, because I was. It was almost a slap in the face, it was, I remember distinctly, it was before going to youth group, having an argument with my mom and my dad because my dad and my sister were having a problem, and not cursing my dad out, but everything but cursing my dad out was how I left. And then I went to youth group, heard this, and I didn't go to youth group like, man, I can't wait to just learn and grow. Right. It was like God just slapping me out of my chair and being like, really? Like, so much better. And then coming home, and my dad and my sister were still arguing, and instead of like laying into my dad, who was probably not in the wrong, but just more annoyed me, because he was the adult, I asked for my dad to, go somewhere else. I talked with my sister, and I got her side of it. This is way more mature than I was at the time. Like, this was not like, well, this is how I handled everything. This was like a complete first time anomaly to the whole thing. So that you might think that I'm like representing it like, whoa, I'm so respectful and just doing everything right. No, this was like, my dad was
you were basically a youth pastor.
Well, I think my dad was kind of like, this is weird. I'm gonna just stop and see what happens here, because it was just weird for me to act this way instead of like, totally rageathon, emotional anger wreck. and so I think he went down to the garage, and my sister was in a room, and we're talking about whatever the problem was. And I was like, hey, can you just respect Dad? Because I just learned to respect Dad. And so I was like, hey, sister,
I just heard that Jesus says we're supposed to respect him. So
now you should do what I have not done at this stage in your life.
Right.
But she kind of did, kind of grasp where I was coming from. I want to say, if I thought about it for a minute, I could figure it out. But I think she was around 10, might have been 9, something like that. And then. So I talked with her, and then I go down to my dad, and I gave him whatever advice it was that I could think of from talking to her, like, hey, this is what she was thinking, this is what you were thinking, or something like that. and like maybe approach it this way. And he totally, I think I asked him to ask for forgiveness for the wrong that he had done, which was just not handling the situation correctly. I don't remember it. This is 30 years ago.
Right.
But he didn't do that. He went back and kind of accused my sister, which is about the worst that my dad would do. He was not somebody that was, he wasn't emotional like I was and angry and all that kind of stuff, but just kind of accused her of things that was like, man, you could have let that slide. But the way that changed my dad and my relationship immediately was he would listen to me in a way that he wouldn't listen before.
Yeah.
Because he saw that I all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I had, like, my parents didn't know what that was. They were like, who's this new kid?
Yeah.
And I was homeschooled, and sort of like our lunch breaks during school were spent kind of tearing my dad down, led by my mom. And I started walking away from those too. And so being obedient actually did not help, because I still didn't respect my dad internally. I was doing it outwardly, which was faking it till I make it. And I eventually, a couple years later, I really did learn to respect my dad. But it ruined, that was the beginning of the end of the relationship with my mom. My mom and I got along really good until I started trying to get along with my dad. And so it's
and that's the thing where it doesn't actually matter how you feel about it. Like, you just start doing it.
That's really it. Thanks for taking my long-winded one and just bringing it down to exactly what it is. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't feel awesome, but that's what I'm called to. So just do it.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk around it, you can talk yourself out of it, but when it comes down to it, this is what I'm called to. Just do it. It sucks,
and it's a blessing.
It's a blessing, and it will be a blessing in the future, because guess what? So we never get out of submission. Like, we never, there's always a new authority to submit to under God. And ultimately we're always supposed to be submitting to God. So like, this is just the beginning. Like, and even when you get married, whichever role you're in, you're still submitting to God. And so like, maybe you feel like your wife's getting one over on you because she asked you to do this thing and you really don't like it, and you could say no, but there's really not a good reason to say no. But you're taking her advice, or you're doing what she asked or something. And it's like, well, but actually, this is a good suggestion, or this is a good thing. Why would I just because not
I didn't come up with it?
Exactly. Just because I want to be rebellious, or whatever the stupid, like, inside it's stupid, so don't do it. Or do the right thing. I think you
could pull rank on her, and that still won't be a blessing.
Right.
To be able to say, well, hey, I get to make the decisions. Wait till this is a decision that I've decided we make, and not you saying this is a good idea. And the thing is, like, you're setting your kids up for, like, whatever relationship you have with your parents, you're setting up their relationship as grandkids and grandparents. Like, it's amazing how quickly it turns from mom and dad to, oh, hey, we're having a baby, and now it's like, okay, well, now you're building on whatever relationship was there. And so all of a sudden, okay, maybe you would have wished you would have done some things different, but just whenever you realize that, change. That's it.
Don't lean into your idiocracy,
Exactly. I watched that movie recently. That's really so much it is not just like, I say it to everybody, I say it to myself, like, man, just stop being so bullheaded. Man, I say that more to myself than anybody else. Like, it's just...
Well, yeah, and when that's the thing, like, sometimes it takes me a long time to see how dumb I am.
Yeah.
But when you see it, jump on it.
Yeah.
Because...
Slap that bitch down.
You don't... Like, you're pretty dumb. You don't see a lot of things. But when you see it, then... confess it all the way down. Guys, listen, to your family, to your kids, to your wife, like,
Yeah.
I've been an idiot. I don't know why I've been doing things this way. And guess what? You'll earn more points by
100%.
humbling yourself, you know, like not by trying to make subtle shifts and act like you've been doing this the whole time.
Yep.
And maybe you try to go, you try to go that way, but
too many times. Yeah, too many times.
Yeah.
But
and then your wife's like, "Hey, what's that?" You're like, "I don't know. You know, I just. What do you mean? I've always been doing this."
That one time you said something 6 years ago, and I've been slowly working it away so that it looks like I'm the one changing instead of what you said. Isn't that a weird? Like, I haven't thought about that in a while, but isn't that a weird thing? I remember that as a kid. I don't remember it as much. Hopefully, hopefully it's not me shading myself a certain way, but when your parents want you to change something, and so you're like, yeah, but if I change it tomorrow,
right, that'll be too quick. That'll be too obvious.
Yeah, and so I want to change it next week, and then they won't notice as much. And it's like, no, don't do that as an adult. Don't do it. Like, here's the thing too. Like, people that are afraid of, like in our community, man, if somebody came up to you that knows you better than they know me, and they're like, hey, I wanted to talk with Josh about this because it seems like he's, you know, not, his daughter's kind of off the hook. You know, is he working on that? Or, you know, should I go talk to him about it? And you'd be like, you could say either way. You'd say, yeah, he's working on it. And the things that are your concern, he's addressing them. Or like, hey, look, you know, there's a few people that have noticed that he's not paying attention to that. So yeah, if you would go and talk to him about that, there'll be one more person that would be encouraging him in the right direction. And that saves, like, is that strict Matthew 18? No. But also, like, that also saves that person some embarrassment. Because if they came up to me and they see from a distance what's going on, and they're like, hey, I noticed your daughter, you know, rages all the time, kind of like, you know, probably she got it from you or something. But it's something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
I'd much rather them not have to have that uncomfortable experience. But if you're like, yeah, like blood's in the water and you know, people are noticing it, and one more person saying something will probably help, I would welcome that, using you as that kind of an intermediary or buffer, without thinking, oh man, that jerk is talking about me behind my back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're just talking about, like, I mean, being in community with one another and trying to move the needle more towards, you know, up and to the right. And, you know, there's all kinds of things that you got to decide. Is this a preference thing, or is this like, I think this kind of crossed the line into another territory that I think they should be more concerned about than they are, you know? And so you kind of talk about with some other people, hey, I'm seeing this. Are you seeing this? Like, is this no, I actually kind of had that thought too. Yeah. Or is it like, oh no, you're completely off base.
So it's being willing to have somebody do that as kind of a buffer, but also being open to somebody coming directly to you and being wrong.
Right.
Like coming up to you and saying, you know, I think that this is something you're doing wrong. And you're like, that's something I'm correcting. Or, you know, I appreciate what you said. Thank you.
Yeah. Just take it.
Thanks for loving me enough to come up to me, instead of being, oh man, these people are just getting into my business, I don't like this. You know, like that's having humility will help you grow. So taking in something that you're like, I whatever, you know, like I remember a friend of mine that owned a business, and one of his employees came up to him and was like, hey, I think you're doing such and such wrong. And his response was, and he was telling us this, like, with, like, the feeling that he did it right. He was like, yeah, I told him, like, hey, I run this business. You don't have any right to come and tell me that. You know, I appreciate you're a Christian brother and everything, but you don't, that's not your role. And I was like, wait, really? Like, that's how you responded to that? He's like, yeah. Why not? I don't know, because it's wrong.
Yeah, like, I mean, part of the reason I don't fill out comment cards half the time because I don't think they actually care.
Yeah.
You know, and like it takes a very humble person and owner of a business or whatever you're doing to take feedback and not get offended and just like, okay. Yeah. I mean, it might be coming from a person that, like fools can still speak, wisdom at times,
Exactly.
like, so maybe 90% of what you're saying is not right, but maybe there's 10% that is like, maybe I did come off too harsh with that person, even though the substance of what I said was true, like something like that, where it's a minor correction, but overall it was good, but you could have fixed that. And it's hard to hear that sometimes. And also like, okay, well,
practice that humility and just hearing that from somebody that, maybe doesn't outrank you or maybe is less mature than you or is more mature than you and you don't realize it yet.
Yeah. And also practice drinking Pfriem Pilsner.
Oh yeah, you're right. That one. I mean, I would say the Russian River. Sorry, I keep blowing out the mic. That Russian River is pretty good, but that Pfriem.
That's really good. I mean, I do still think, that one, the STS has something unique that the other two don't.
It has a little bit more depth, I think, and maybe it's that brightness.
Yeah,
the Pfriem is a little bit not as bright, but I would have either one of the Russian River one or the Pfriem one in a cooler on the beach.
Oh, totally.
I would probably not buy the Denim Tux again.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I mean, it sounded interesting with blue corn and everything, and coming from Albuquerque. But and if you've never visited Pfriem, the brewery, it's a pretty cool location right there in Hood River. It's kind of I think of it as Newtown. I don't know exactly how they refer to it, but it's like this whole like complex down there right on the river that has like a distillery.
To it.
It's got the Pfriem Brewery, which I think it's a newer, like I don't remember, like who knows, maybe it was built like 10 years ago or something. Okay. That new strip down there, but then you go up into Old Town and you got Double Mountain Brewing, you got I think Full Sail is there. Okay. Which is the big one.
Man, I don't even. I think I have blinders on to just certain brands that I don't pay attention to.
I don't pay
anymore.
attention to Full Sail. I mean, like I don't even know if there's stuff still on the shelf around here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those like they were one of the bigger craft breweries, but also didn't create anything that was really distinctive.
Yeah, they're like the Oregon, Red Hook.
Red Hook, yeah. You're like, I don't know why I would buy this over another one.
Yeah.
But this is like everything that Pfriem, like, because they have an IPA and it's just IPA, and it's like, but it's a great IPA, and this Pilsner is definitely one of the top ones that
they definitely undersell themselves. Like,
right.
Like you look at that, that's a nice plain can. Like I as much as I complain about the ones that don't have any information, they have the information, and it's understated and
just Pilsner. It's not like Rocky Mountain Pilsner or Bear's Breath Pilsner or
Rocky Mountain Oyster Pilsner.
Yeah, that would have an interesting tinge to it.
Yep.
But yeah, so I would say, I think Pilsner is kind of one of those categories, because like, what's the most readily accessible Pilsner? Probably.
Oh boy.
Is Stella? Is that a Pilsner?
I want to say it is, and I like Stella. It's been a long time since I've had it.
Yeah,
so.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But like that's one of the big beer. Just.
It's like a crisp, refreshing one. I don't mind it, but it's.
Yeah, it definitely leans more. It has a crisp distinction to it from like a Bud Light, but it still, I think, leans more sweet.
Yeah.
In that range, but
if there's anything that Ian does not like, it's sweet.
Well, but Yeah, I guess in the right
place.
context, because like I like the barrel aged beers that definitely are on the sweeter side.
Yep.
But like I guess I like it. I was gonna say I like sweet in the bitter chocolate way. You know, like.
Yeah, so he doesn't like sweet.
Right.
But yeah, it's
when there's
close to
something,
sweet.
when there's some tension there, when it's just all sweet, then I'm just like, wow, this is not my jam.
That's the schmaltzy stuff.
Yeah, it's like just like punch, like just ice cream in soda. You're just like, I don't know what's attractive about that. That's just a lot of sugar.
It is funny because we were talking about, we were doing a descriptive writing exercise in class, and it's funny how some of the things that I like, I don't actually like because they're good in themselves. I like because it involves a memory. So you bringing up the was it Sprite and ice cream thing. I've never made that just because, man, it just really sounds good.
Right.
But it's one of those things that, Christmas time you have that and you're like, oh yeah, this is good. And then I will not have any for another 12 months.
Right. Right.
But it's like, I like it. And it's more related to like having it at my grandma's house. And I, like lemonade is something I like to have once or twice in the summertime. If it's just your straight up regular lemonade. And that was what we were writing the descriptive writing about. But like, I think I made a picture last summer of lemonade.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's good to have. And then I was satiated with lemonade.
I'm done.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that's more of a memory. It's like, oh, I remember having...
See, I associate lemonade nowadays with like my 1 or 2 lemonades per year are like spiked lemonade at the ballpark. Yeah. Like at a Mariners game.
Yeah, so
it's really it's really hot, and you're like, man, that would just hit the spot.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I'll do that like every other year by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Yeah. And just get like the sweetest, whatever strawberry one or whatever it is, and it's like, this is so good right now and for probably the next 5 minutes.
Right.
But like even like lemonade out of a paper cup. Like I don't like anything out of a paper cup. I don't want that paper cup taste. I don't want that. But lemonade out of a paper cup is just because it hits all the right spots with
it's a vibe.
Yeah.
Or like Kool-Aid out of a styrofoam cup. Where as a kid, you'd like put all your teeth impressions in it and then eventually break it into 1,000 pieces.
See, that's it. Like that is a very real. Like I'm like, yes,
very tangible.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you're like, wait, why did I just make this mess? Yeah, like I don't know.
Totally.
Because I wanted to keep biting it, I guess. Yeah. But people, we're on the precipice of summer. It is right around the corner, and things are about to go down. We don't know what next year is going to look like in terms of the school and stuff like that. But we are coming up on finals and the end of the school year. Yeah. And, it's crazy how quick it went by. And
I think there's 11 or 12 in school days left.
Wow. That's nuts. Yeah. And the more you do, the more you see that still needs to be done.
Oh, so man, that's the truth.
Whatever it is, get to it, and don't be discouraged when you don't see results. Like keep doing what you know you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. And live defiantly, obediently.
That's right.
Weld them into one whole, and we're gonna. We've been testing out some merch here. We got some ideas. Yeah. So,
man, this hoodie is awesome.
Sweet. Yeah. I like how it turned out.
Yeah, it's really good.
Awesome. Well, until next time, get after it and be faithful, whether it feels awesome or not.
That's right.
Thanks for listening to the Contraritics. Tune in next time for another dose of guns, beer, and contrarianism.